Good evening and welcome to Different Perspectives. I'm Paul Ndiho coming to you live from Washington. Today, where does the war in Iran stand? 3 weeks in. What started as a targeted airstrike campaign by the United States and Israel has now expanded into a regional conflict with missiles, drones, and naval pressure across the Middle East. And one thing is clear. This is no longer a short war. Let's start with the human cost. In Iran, casualty figures remain disputed, but multiple reports suggest that more than 1,400 lives have been unalived, with estimates are significantly higher. In Lebanon, close to 1,000 lives have been lost and hundreds of thousands are forced from their homes. In Israel, Iran missile strikes have resulted in civilian lives lost as well, despite advanced air defense systems. And for the United States, at least 13 service members have lost their lives, with many others injured. So on all sides, at least we've seen some casualties. The human cost continues to grow. Militarily, the United States and Israel still hold an advantage in the air. Thousands of strikes inside Iran's naval asset damaged or destroyed, command structures targeted. But here is the key point. Iran is still fighting back. Over the past few weeks of the war, Iran launched hundreds of ballistic missiles and hundreds more drones. And even with high interception rates, some are still getting through. This is not a clean military resolution, just like some analysts have suggested. It's a war of attrition. This is also no longer just about Iran and Israel. Missiles and drones have reached or crossed to Iraq, Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and parts of the West Bank. Then there is the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most strategic waterways in the world. A significant portion of global energy flows through that narrow channel. Right now, traffic has dropped dramatically, not necessarily because of a formal blockade, but because of risk. And this is the beginning to impact our energy markets around the world. The question we are answering tonight, or we are watching the early stages of a broader war, or World War III, like some people have called it? To help us break this down, we are joined by three distinguished guests. Sheku Anyaketo, a journalist based in Saudi Arabia, and a veteran journalist Abdul Shakur Aboud. Later on, we'll be joined by Dr. Edgar Gitua, a security and diplomatic expert at Strathmore University in Nairobi, Kenya. Gentlemen, welcome to Different Perspectives.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for welcoming.
Thank you very much.
I guess let me start with you, Sheku Anyaketo. You are right now in Saudi Arabia. Maybe set the stage for us. How are things unfolding where you are in Saudi Arabia?
Thank you very much, Mr. Paul. And it's my pleasure to be here, and also my pleasure to meet Abdul Shakur Aboud here. And as you have just reported and talked about the situation right here in the Middle East, and especially in Saudi Arabia, the situation is it's very okay and very calm right now. It is just that the Middle East is actually affected badly from this continuous war between Iran, America, and Israel. And every day, the cities, the capitals of Middle East countries, especially the GCC countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, and UAE, they are receiving missile attacks, ballistic missiles, and also drones attack. Just last night, so many ballistic missiles and drones were sent to Saudi Arabia, but they're intercepted by the Saudi Arabia defense.
Shekua, you have been observing and following the latest developments in that part of the world. You've done some extensive work as well on that part of the world. Bring us up to speed. What are you reading? What are you hearing?
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. The situation, as we all know, and as you said, it's widening and it's creating a situation where people are starting to get worried. Where is this war going on? Here in the United States, we know that the Trump government is faced with a lot of challenges. It's becoming obvious that there's a big division in the MAGA movement. People are not really for the war. Some are trying to find ways and asking Trump. I heard there's discussion to try to see whether he can get an off-ramp, but he is not really swayed up to now. But the other part also, he is very angry that NATO members have refused or are resisting joining the war, especially his call for them to help open the Strait of Hormuz. So the situation for him is quite difficult. But as we see in the Middle East, there is a lot of pressure for wanting the war to end, especially pressure to stop the war in Lebanon and stop the attacks on Iran. The GCC countries had a meeting this week and have called for peace in the region and called for the end of the war. And we have seen that Mr. Erdogan, President Erdogan of Turkey, has taken the role of trying to be a mediator between the three parties, Israel, Iran, and the United States, stating that he started talking with all those three countries to see ways of how to end the war. So the situation is creating also an economic crisis. We are seeing gas prices going so high. We're seeing that people are wondering and starting to worry that the inflation is going to go over the board. So we are waiting to see what will happen after the third week now.
Interesting thoughts from both of you. From where you stand, I want both of you maybe to weigh in on this. We've seen a leadership shift in Iran after the initial strikes. How stable is the current leadership under these levels of pressure? For example, if you care to explain maybe what the mosaic kind of leadership means, where they have decentralized their leadership structures almost to 31 nucleus or independent governing structures. If you can explain that to the audience, I think that would be great as well.
Yeah. When you look at the situation in Iran, as you're asking, is that Iran was prepared for this, but unfortunately also it lost a lot of leaders. We know they lost almost 30 leaders in the first 2 weeks. But the structure is very difficult to understand because they have different layers of leadership, as we understand, and they were prepared. We see that as soon as the first group of leaders were killed, they already have announced new leaders to take over. So the structure of Iran looks like they were prepared. They've been preparing this for almost 30 years. They know that one day it's going to happen. Israel was going to attack. So the thing is that they have been preparing, and it looks like the leadership is still going on, although it's not very clear who is still in the leadership. We know the son of Khamenei, Khattab, is not been seen in public since he was nominated, but we see other leaders, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who was out of the country when the war started, talks a lot to the media. We have seen the president moving around. So still it's not clear, because it's a war going on, who is running the place. But it looks like their structure is still intact.
Shekua, from a humanitarian perspective, what are you seeing on the ground in terms of how this war is impacting the civilians, especially where you are in Saudi Arabia. Are people scared even to get out of their houses to go up and about their business?
Yes, the life is very normal, like I said before, and it is just that when we look at the number of casualties in the entire Gulf countries, it's between 20 to 25 deaths, and about 220 or 250 are the injuries. But in Saudi Arabia, there is not much casualties right now, and because only sometimes when the missiles are intercepted, so there are some part of it falls here and there will be an alarm before the missile attack, and after it's intercepted again the alarm will be removed, and then they tell you that now the danger is removed and there is no any problem. Then life continues very normally. We have just been driving always, every time. There is nothing. It's just that the people are actually in fear if this is going to be escalated too much, and people also are fearing that might affect the business in the near future, because right now people are in public holiday for this week. This entire week people are actually enjoying their Eid this holiday. But next week, early next week, businesses should actually continue normally. So people are fearing what will happen in the next few days.
Shakur, Israel has expanded operations into Lebanon. This is, as they say, it's still a limited campaign. Are we looking at a longer conflict on that front? Because, once these wars start, really, sometimes you have absolutely no control which direction they take. Your thoughts?
Yeah, for Lebanon,
Yes.
we know that Israel will not stop attacking Lebanon at this time until when it has completely eliminated Hezbollah. Hezbollah, the liberation movement over there in Lebanon, which is the one movement which is fighting for the Palestinian state, has been fighting all these years against Israel. So the war in Lebanon is going to continue, and I don't think so. It's a limited war at this time, because Israel has been attacking all the fronts and all areas where they believe Hezbollah has its people. So at the same time, Hezbollah is attacking back. We have seen that Hezbollah is consistently shooting rockets into Israel, especially in the northern parts of Israel. So the situation is not clear when Israel will agree to stop its war against Lebanon. The only means it wants to do is to eliminate Hezbollah, and Hezbollah has declared that it will not stop or it will not disband until its own wishes are achieved, which is to see a Palestinian state. So the issue of Israel and Lebanon is going to continue as long as this war continues, as long as we don't see any peace efforts taking place. There is very limited efforts taking place to try and bring this war to an end. We know that French president is trying hard, especially on the Lebanon side, because it has more closer relations to Lebanon, a former colony. So there is a quest of trying to look for peace in the region. But the issue of Lebanon and Israel is going to continue until Israel is satisfied that Hezbollah has been eliminated.
Earlier I talked about the war of attrition. When I was introducing this segment, I talked about how a lot of people are looking at this as a war of attrition. The United States and Israel control the airspace. They dominate in this war. But Iran is still firing back. What does that tell us about Iran's capabilities? Are we seeing a situation whereby they're running out of missiles, drones to fire back? Any one of you can take it on.
Oh yeah, Iran looks like it's firing back because it's as I said, planned these things for a long time. We're seeing that it's still firing strategic missiles and drones. We know that Iran has been very special in making drones. Iran's drones have been used in the war between Russia and Ukraine. So it has a lot of drones and missiles. But as experts are saying, the number of drones and missiles being fired from Iran has reduced drastically. But that doesn't mean that it has been running out of ammunition. The thing is that the areas for firing the rockets and firing the missiles have been destroyed by Israel and America. And as we know, President Trump has said that they have completely finished the capability of Iran making nuclear bombs and making missiles. So we don't know what is happening, but we have seen also that Iran has been firing its missiles from underground. So Iran is well prepared for this. It has enough. It's not sure how much it has, because even we are talking about Israel talking about talking about having its ammunition stock has gone down. So this war is going to cost a lot in ammunition for both parties, but we are not sure when and how it's going to finish.
Shakur, since you're in Saudi Arabia, there have been reports of some of these air defense systems are not working properly. From where you stand in the region, have you seen any evidence to suggest that some of these air defense systems that were in place to protect people from these ballistic missiles, these drones, are not working in some of these countries in the Middle East?
Actually, from my point of view, as I am here, I think the air defense is working properly. Maybe I am not a military expert. I can't suggest something in such, but when you hear a news that Saudi Arabia air defense intercepted 17 missiles, rockets, and drones that are not actually falling effectively, and they did not reach their targets, sometimes only 2 or 3, and they always they disturb them to fall away from from the populated areas. So I can say, according to me, as a normal person and ordinarily, see that the air defense is working. And if you see in UAE, the air defense every day reporting they intercept more than 8, more than 10, more than 15. And I talk to my people right there in Dubai. They're telling me there will be an alarm. The alarm will be even before the missiles arrive into the space. And after a few minutes, then they tell them the same thing. Now the missiles are intercepted and the situation is okay. So as we see right now, up to now, it is actually defending and working very properly, unless it is something that, or someone who talks from a military point of view.
Interesting perspective there, because there have been a lot of media reports suggesting that some of these air defense systems are not working in these countries. So I'm happy to hear that from your vantage point where you are in Saudi, at least you've seen evidence to suggest that these air defense systems are working. How about how people, ordinary people, going about their business? Are people afraid to even get out of their houses? What do you see on the streets out there?
Now, the streets are full of people. The businesses are opening, unless the business is in a place where the attack was there. For example, if it is nearby the airport, like Dubai airport, or nearby, let me say, the oil place such as Aramco, the places where there are no people in there. There are no businesses usually. So the businesses are very open, very okay. The streets are full of people. It is just that because nowadays it's a holiday, so any business is not opening right now. It's just that because of this holiday, and there is no even announcement from the government like there is a emergency or there is anything, and people are not only when there is an attack. Sometimes in Doha, the Qatar government tells people there will be a danger in few minutes, and people have to stick inside their houses, do not go out, or remain protected until the danger is removed. And after a while, like I said before, they announced that. And you can also see from the social media, people who are posting lives, they are streaming live from the streets, driving on the streets, and life is continuously going normally.
Abdul Shakur Aboud, earlier you talked about how Iran has been preparing for a long time. Iran has done this for a long time. Maybe from where you stand, Shakur, can you tell us why do you think that we are seeing missiles and drones across multiple countries? How close are we to a wider escalation?
Well, escalation, I think, has reached a point where we can say it's a regional conflict, as you said earlier. Iran has said and has repeatedly said that once it is attacked, it's going to attack all American and Israeli interests in the Middle East. And we know that America has invested enormously in all the Gulf states and Arab countries. And so Iran feels that it is its right to attack the nearest target it can reach in America, and that is its interest. And specifically, we know that Iran is targeting oil and targeting military installations, American military installations in the neighboring countries. And that's why it's spreading the war. It's saying that it's its legitimate right to protect itself. And it's attacking all the oil installations we have seen, the refineries in Qatar, in Bahrain, in Iraq, in Saudi Arabia. And this is what is creating an economic crisis right now. Inflation is going high, and we're seeing gas prices and energy prices increasing every single day. So the reason why Iran is attacking these areas is a reason that it feels that it's the nearest place it can go, and it can create havoc in that whole region. And it's aiming specifically at the energy, because it understands very well energy will send the message to the world that this war is expanding and something has to be done. So I think that's the reason why. But at the same time, when you had asked earlier, is that this also is an information fighting or information conflict. We are seeing a lot of information talking about attacks at different places, but all that is reported to be some as false news, because everybody is trying to be on the news. Everybody is trying to get information out there. So it's also become an information war. So it's expanding in a way that people have to be very careful on what they see or what they read, because some are this false news and some are AI challenges is coming up, and it's creating a false narrative that the situation is very bad, while sometimes there is no real attack at different places, according to what we see in some of the media.
Interesting. Let me welcome our special guest, Dr. Edgar Gitua, a security and diplomatic expert at Strathmore University in Nairobi, Kenya. Dr. Gitua, welcome to the program. Hello? Dr. Edgar, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. You're muted. Hello, Dr. Edgar? You are muted. We can't hear you. Dr. Gitua, can you hear me? Okay, you are muted. I cannot hear what you're saying. Okay. Okay. Let me go back to both of you. Shakur, you talked about something very important that we are witnessing. for the first time, I think we are looking at a lot of fake videos coming out of this war. For example, there was this circulation on social media that the Israeli president, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had been killed. There was a lot of social media posts suggesting that he had been taken out. But yesterday, he gave a press conference and he was alive. Hello, Dr.
Yeah.
Edgar Gitua, can you hear me? Hello? We are still having maybe what you can do, log out and log back in.
He did that.
Okay. Hello, Shakur. Talk about the effect or the implications that we have seen so far. We've seen a lot of fake videos coming out of this war. We see a lot of, for example, AI images saying that Iran is having an advantage as opposed to the US and and Israel. What are your thoughts about those things that we've been seeing online?
I think those things are affecting ordinary people and affecting people who do not know how to verify what is true, what is not true. And there are so many people. By the way, I have even seen some videos that suggested that is an attack right now, and those videos are from the previous attack, and maybe even some of them out of the region in some places. So because the vast majority of ordinary people do not know how to verify, do not know what is correct, what is not correct. But for example, in Saudi Arabia, the government has released an app called Tawakkal. This app, you can actually report if you have seen anything actual. You can report on that. You can even send documents. That has actually helped the people to verify what is true, what is not true, and also the government announced that you don't have to take picture everywhere and just post some fake news. There will be a very big punishment for that, especially in UAE. There is a rule right now for that, and there are specific channels where you can get what exactly happened. And because the government announces when attack is coming, if the attack is intercepted or not, and after that what has happened, and then the government will announce what are the casualties or the damages and the losses and everything. So these news are actually affecting especially those who are going to informal channels like on TikTok and other on other social media platforms are overrating it and putting videos that are actually fake, like Mr. Abdul said before. And so many people now are fearing out of that, because if we look at the flow of fake information on these attacks, especially in the Middle East, are actually more than what it is exactly.
Dr. Edgar, can you hear me?
I think he has a problem with his audio, because we can hear when he's trying to talk. Edgar is talking, but it's crashing. There's a problem with his audio.
Edgar, can you log out and log back in if you can?
No, maybe change the mic.
Yeah, or change something, because we can hear.
His mic is the problem.
Okay.
Replace the mic.
Shut it down completely and try to log back in. Okay. Terrific. Okay, so this has been an interesting war. From where you guys stand, what do you think? Who has an advantage in this war? Can Iran succumb to this kind of pressure and survive, or the United States and Israel have to, at some point, maybe figure out an off-ramp?
I think an off-ramp is the only solution out of this. What has been seen right now is that Iran is fighting back very strongly, but I don't think that Israel is willing to stop this war. We see that it's continuing its assassination of the leaders. I just came across just now that they have assassinated the spokesperson of IRAGC, the Revolutionary Army, spokesperson Nani. And so they're continuing. I think so. The thing what Israel wants right now is to see that the Islamic revolution, Islamic government is completely removed from power, something which they are not sure what is going to happen after that. That's the main problem. But for the United States right now, what we know is that Trump is trying to figure out how to off-ramp this fight, how to end it, and he's declaring victory all over, but it's still a difficult point. As we know, this week there was a lot of issues. Who dragged who in the war? Israel, the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that he did not drag the United States into the war, while the MAGA and the United States is totally divided, believing that America is fighting for Israel. So the issue here, when you look at it, is that there is a big disparity between how and what is supposed to come out from here. Who is going to win? Iran, in a way, one can say it has been successful. Nobody expected Iran to continue for this long. You should not forget that it's fighting two major superpowers in military in the world, Israel and the United States, and it's resisting very strongly. So the only way here out is to get a ceasefire, and only way out here is to reach a peace agreement between all sides, according to what I can feel.
Edgar, can you hear us now? Hello? Something is wrong with your audio today for some reason. I don't know what it is. Try to use your phone or something. Edgar.
Yeah, let me try my phone.
Oh,
yes,
he's on.
Now,
he's on now.
You're on. We are
All right,
on. We can hear you.
It's okay now.
Edgar. Hello?
You can hear me now? Yes.
Perfect.
Hello.
So,
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Okay, so Edgar, let me welcome Edgar. Edgar Gitua is a diplomatic and security expert at Strathmore University in Nairobi, Kenya. Welcome, and sorry about the technical challenges that you are experiencing.
Yeah, sorry so much. Sorry for that, and I'm glad to be part of your show. Thank you so much.
Very good. So we're talking about, maybe let's first come to you since you're just joining us. Give us your assessment. We are 3 weeks into the war between Iran, United States, and Israel. So much has happened. You have written extensively about this region. You have covered this region so well. How are things looking from your point of view?
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you so much, my other colleagues. So from my assessment, number one, and I know this is contested out there, this war was inevitable, in my view, simply because of Iran's ambition to dominate the Middle East geopolitically and to dominate the Middle East in terms of being the premier nation in the region. Remember, Iranians are Persians, they are not Arabs. And the Persians believe their culture is more superior to the Arabs. And that's why Saudi Arabia, UAE, and other countries in the Middle East would not be comfortable with having a very powerful and dominant Iran. Now, the other aspect of Iran pursuing nuclear weapons, administered a lot of sanctions, warnings from the West, that was always going to be another trigger. It was always going to be a trigger, and I think last year in June, that was the warning sign. The world should have realized that if Iran did not de-escalate, if Iran did not, to an extent, in my perspective, give the West and what it wanted in terms of assurances that there would be no pursuit of nuclear weapons, this was going to happen. So for me, this war did not get me off guard. It was bound to happen. I was probably a little bit surprised because it took place or continued during the holy month of Ramadan. So I really felt maybe to an extent, I don't want to dictate to any country when it's the best time to fight, but I thought during the month of Ramadan, that was a very sensitive time to conduct the war. But largely speaking, 2 weeks ago, I had a meeting with the Israeli ambassador here in Kenya. I was part of a small team he made a presentation to on what is happening and what Israel wants to pursue. And there was one message that was very clear. Israel will not stop this fight until they are satisfied that the regime in power in Iran has fully accepted it will not pursue nuclear weapons. So for me, my assessment and based on my research, unless the West, the conceptual West, including Israel, get the assurance that the regime in Iran will not pursue nuclear weapons, this war is far from ending. And having said that, I came in when my colleagues were talking about the escalation of Iran trying to fight the other Gulf states. I think this is classic geostrategy, and it is a way of Iran trying to draw in the Arab neighbors, the other Arab nations into this conflict by making it a wider regional conflict, because the US gives guarantees to these other countries. So it is Iran's way of trying to force these Gulf countries to tell the US, let us de-escalate, let us stop the war, because we are hurting economically. They are bombing our, they are bombing our oil facilities, they are bombing our infrastructure. So it's a dirty underhand tactic by Iran in trying to get the US to back off and Israel to back off this war. But from all indications and what we have seen, I think we have a president in the White House who has shown that he is willing to go the extra mile, regardless of the consequences. And if what we are reading in military news is that the US is actually increasing its military presence in the region, in the Strait of Hormuz, we are digging in for a conflict that is going to probably hurt the region and the rest of the world in the foreseeable future. So to quickly summarize what I'm saying, what does the US and Israel want? Regime change. Number one, regime change. Unless there is evident regime change, there's going to be a lot of military pressure on Iran. You can see all the military leaders who have died, Larjani, Mokhtaba, Khamenei. We are not sure the status of his health and where he is, whether he's in Russia or not, as we keep on reading. Other military generals are being picked off every day. So I think this is it's not only a physical military war, it's also a psychological war. The message being pushed out there is that whoever takes up the reins of leadership and power in Iran, you had better be willing to have a different ideology from the regime that is being fought. So in my view, I know we want peace and we want a ceasefire, but let me be the prophet of doom today and say, I do not see peace until the Iranian regime gives certain guarantees. And I do not know whether they are willing to give us certain guarantees without losing face. Yeah, thank you. And that's what I'd probably have to say for now.
Let me do a quick follow-up. You just brought up some interesting angles to this conversation. One, you talked about the issue of nuclear supremacy. Israel and the United States have absolutely, under no circumstances, said they are not going to allow that to happen. You also brought in the issue of regime change. But earlier, I think we were talking about how the Iranians developed some kind of a mosaic kind of leadership structure that is so decentralized that even if you take out the leader, every leader that you take out, they have like so many other leaders coming below that person. So could we see maybe this escalating into something that, or going even longer beyond what we have seen so far? Because so far, they decapitated the entire leadership structure, but the regime has refused to fall. We still see these people fighting back. Your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you. That's a very good question and a very good observation. It is not easy to dismantle a regime that has, from 1979, created structures and had such a heavy grip on power. However, even without really instituting regime change, in the sense that, for example, at the worst case, let's say best case scenario for the West is Mohammed Riza's son, the current Riza, who they're talking about being brought back and embraced in Iran. And I don't see that happening very easily. But we could have some moderates within the Iranian regime, even if they are within the Ayatollahs, even if they're within the ruling class, the mullahs, the IRGC, within the security structure, it is very possible for the current regime, out of survival, to decide, you know what, for the sake of our regime surviving and without opening a door for us to get kicked out of power, we could adopt more moderate views. We could negotiate. We could negotiate with the West and Israel and give them favorable terms. And I can assure you, right now, the biggest thing is that the nuclear guarantees. Iran right now, from research and from what I've been reading and trying to follow up, is that they already have around 400 kilos of enriched uranium, up to 60%. That means it is a few steps. When you have 90% enriched uranium, you can create the nuclear bomb you're looking for. If the Iranian regime right now, I'm giving them free advice, they could give up these 400 kilos of 60% enriched uranium as a first step. Number two, de-escalate and promise not to shoot any more missiles towards any other Gulf countries. Have a moderate leader in power. And I don't want to dictate what moderate means. I have a feeling we could have a step in the right direction in de-escalation of this conflict. The problem, Paul, and to my other guests on the show, the problem right now is that we have a hardline Israel, a hardline America that has one key demand. We want full guarantees and assurances that Iran will not pursue its nuclear ambition. And now they have added another demand, a stop to this ballistic missile development, because Iran is very advanced in terms of ballistic missile development and drone development. So some of those demands where it becomes tricky because it's almost like you're taking over the sovereignty of another country. So it's a very delicate balancing act. What can Iran give without losing its sovereignty, without appearing like it is a puppet of the West? And what can the West agree to live with without fully de-emasculating the Iranian regime and making Iran feel like, you know, it is not a state, a sovereign state anymore? So it's a very delicate balancing act, Paul. But at least on the table, the biggest ask from the West will be, give up your nuclear weapon development program. We want a total dismantle. We want you to totally dismantle it. I think that for me will buy Iran peace. It will bring about peace in the region. It is to what extent Iran is willing to bear this cost.
Very briefly, how about the people who say, for example, the foreign minister has been saying that part of what they were negotiating on was to give up those that enriched uranium. They had agreed that, according to the foreign minister, they had agreed actually to give back or to let go that enriched uranium. How would you respond to that?
All right, I do not want to, I know other people have different views, but this is what I will tell them. It is very easy to prove whether what that foreign minister is saying is correct or not. Right now, in the middle of this escalation and conflict, call a global press conference and invite the International Atomic Energy Agency and inspectors from the US and Israel and tell them, come, we will open up any site you want to name, whether it's Isfahan, Fordo, Natanz, you name it. We are opening up, bring your global media, bring your global scientists. We will prove to you that we are willing to give them to you. If Iran is willing to do that, the onus will shift to the US and Israel. If Iran does that publicly and with clean and open hands, then the Israel and the US will be asked tough questions by the rest of the world. Why are you still escalating the conflict? But Iran in the past, from my research, has negotiated, has invited the atomic agency to come in and inspect, but they will only show you what they feel they want to show you, then they hide other sites. So Iran's problem currently has been the duplicity, its mistrust. The other countries of the world do not trust Iran. Israel and the US do not trust Iran because Iran has cheated in the past in terms of what it wants to show, the inspectors where they are told, sometimes there is no cooperation. So we are at this point because of deception, past and previous deception. That's why I believe even as the negotiations were going on by Bahrain, you know, and Oman and Qatar, I think the West did not trust what Iran was saying. The West did not trust what Iran was saying, and that's why we are where we are. But we can change that narrative. Open up your nuclear sites, open your hands, invite the International Atomic Energy Agency, invite other neutral bodies to come and guarantee that you have given up and you've given up all these things, then if the US and Israel escalate this conflict, then they will be told you are doing this in bad faith. But until we get to that point where we can build mutual trust, we will keep on having these issues between Iran and the conceptual West.
We seem to be having a lot of people watching us. As I can see on my end, we have up to 500 people watching us live. Let me give them a quick shout out. When we come back, we'll talk about the Strait of Hormuz and why this significant part of the world is generating a lot of buzz. But first, if you value these kinds of conversations that go beyond the headlines, follow us on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Spotify, and Substack. Just search for Paul Ndiho or Different Perspectives. And of course, if you value independent journalism like this, scan the QR code or use the links in the descriptions below to support different perspectives. You can donate using your Visa, your MasterCard, your PayPal, Cash App, or Zelle to support this kind of work and these kinds of conversations. Today, we are talking about one of the biggest topics that the world is witnessing, the war in Iran, between the United States, Israel, and Iran. And my guests are Dr. Edgar Gitua, a diplomatic and security expert based in Nairobi, Kenya. Shekua Nyekeito, a journalist and activist based in Saudi Arabia. And Abdul Shakur Aboud, a veteran journalist who observes and has also covered this region extensively. And to you, all our fans, we appreciate the support and the feedback that you're giving us. Back to the conversation, gentlemen. If this conflict continues, and any one of you can take this up, what does this mean for humanitarian conditions across the region?
Paul, before you continue to that question, I would like to argue what Edgar talked about, putting the context of the nuclear discussion, that the West is not trusting Iran. I think the issue here, we should put it very clearly, it's more like Netanyahu not trusting Iran, because Netanyahu and Trump are the only ones who are not trusting what Iran is saying, because we understand the JCPOA agreement, which was reached in Paris under Obama. They had reached an agreement that Iran is not going to produce any nuclear armament. And Iran had specifically said that it is not having an intention to go to nuclear arms. It was using nuclear for its local energy. And things were quiet. The thing here we have to put in perspective is that it's only Netanyahu who has been insisting for almost 30 years, and he was always talking. We saw him coming to the United Nations saying, Iran in 3 weeks is going to have a bomb. Iran in 2 months is going to have a bomb. So it is Netanyahu. We have to precisely explain that, because the West is now totally divided, because Khamenei had issued a fatwa that Iran will not make a nuclear bomb. And the UN Energy, IAE, was also observing. You're saying that they were not going to where Iran would not look. That's an issue of sovereignty. Israel has nuclear bombs too. But when they reached that agreement, there was sort of calm in the whole situation. And what has happened right now, we must put in perspective, is that Netanyahu was able to convince Trump. Netanyahu tried to convince Obama to attack Iran. He tried to convince Biden to attack, but they all refused. And the West as a whole is not together with that idea. So that's what I wanted to put into perspective first, that there is no issue of whether Iran wants to make a bomb or not. Khamenei had issued a fatwa, and fatwa is a religious law saying that we are not supposed to do it. And I think they did not trust, but I don't think so the whole West did not trust that. I think so it was Netanyahu was trying to manipulate the West to accept his ideas.
Edgar, maybe you want to respond to that. Yeah, Shakur makes a greater point there. There's been a rift. There's been accusation after accusation. You've seen clearly the West has said this is not our war. NATO has said this is not our war. They have all decided to, to stand on the sidelines and watch from afar. But based on what Shakur is saying, how do you respond to what he just said?
I hear what he says, and I respect his views, and I understand where he's coming from, and he's right to an extent. To an extent that there were agreements, the JCPOA, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA. But the problem with JCPOA as an agreement, and where Israel, and I'm not holding brief for them, but I want you to understand where they had misgivings with that agreement, was because that agreement, the JCPOA agreement, were telling Iranians to halt nuclear enrichment production for a number of years. And it was going to expire sometime, I think, going towards 2030, thereabouts. I can't remember the correct dates. So the Israelis were saying, So the Israelis' problem with that agreement was, what happens after 2030? You're just telling them to halt production for 15 years or 20 years. And then in 2030, because they already have the knowledge, the scientists are in place, they will pick up from where they stopped. So I think for the Israelis and for Israel as a nation state, there are misgivings with the JCPOA. JCPOA was that it was not a permanent agreement. It was a temporal solution. It's like putting a band-aid on a wound. And sooner or later, after 2030, Israel did not have any guarantees that Iran would continue on the same path. I agree that Khamenei issued a fatwa, but here is the problem. Khamenei, even Khomeini, the late Ayatollah Khomeini, the one who passed away much earlier, they did not want, on principle, it's like they were gentlemen. They did not want Iran to go in that direction because they knew it would bring problems to Iran. But unfortunately, within the Iranian regime, younger leaders, hardliners, developed the view that it is better for Iran to get the bomb. It's better for Iran to be a nuclear power. And then, even if we now do not use it, or we will get the respect we require from the rest of the world. And I think now I extend our debate a little bit. The problem with Iran, a nuclear-armed Iran, is its association with Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis in Yemen. Iran's, the proxies that Iran supports outside there, who are non-state actors and would not respect the conventions of war and all that. That is where Iran's problems come from. Personally, I believe, look at North Korea, and I didn't want to bring them here, but let me just bring them for the sake of argument's sake. North Korea got their nuclear weapons through the back door. But you can realize, other than sanctions, the world has pretty much left them alone. And pretty much North Korea appears to behave itself in its quarter of the world. And they are nuclear armed, and they got the nuclear weapons through the back door. So for Iran, it's in association with Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and all these other non-state actor groups that creates the fear outside there, warranted or not, creates the uncertainty of, we cannot trust you. If you ever develop and get this bomb, we cannot trust what you will do with it. And I know that is contested, it's debatable outside there, but these are some of the things in geopolitics and global politics that define how nation states look at you. They either view you as a good state or a rogue state, depending on who you're associating with or what you're doing out there with your military power. And so Iran finds itself in this very tricky quagmire, where the fact that it supports the Houthi rebels, it supports Hamas, Hezbollah, and these are enemies of countries like Israel, then we get all the problems that we are seeing right now.
Let me bring in a fan who wants to ask a question. Do you have a comment or question? Musa Abdul Karim. Musa Abdul Karim, do you have a question or comment? Okay, back to you. Let's talk about the issue, the Strait of Hormuz. Everybody is on edge. The world is on edge, looking at what could potentially happen in that corridor. The global shipping has come to a stall. Oil prices are shooting through the roof. Last night I just put in gas in my car, and for the first time I paid over $65. I've been driving the same car for years. I've never put in even $40. So for the first time, I put in over $60. So how do you assure people, you guys who watch this, what are we witnessing going forward? Either one of you can take it up.
Okay, when we talk of the economic issue, the gas.
Thank you. Let me before going to this.
Go ahead, Shakur.
Shakur, go ahead.
Thank you, Abud. Yes, thank you. I was just going to have a little comment on the previous argument. I wanted us to look at two important things: the historical ambition of this war regarding to Israel, and also when we look at there might be a lot. America's interest is, both of them are dominance interests, but when we look at Israel in the region, Israel's ambitions in the region more far than Iran has nuclear facilities. Israel is expanding itself in the region. Israel is expanding its dominance in the region, and that for them as Jews, it seems like a religious belief. It seems like, and that actually brings fear of the region. If you can see right now, simultaneously, the war is in Iran, at the same time is in Lebanon. Iraq is also attacked here and there. Syria is also Syria as well, and maybe Jordan and the other regions. So the region in the Middle East right now, especially the Arab countries, there is a fear that Israel is expanding. For example, I'm coming from a country. It was once printed a passport. You can go to any country except Israel, that which is Sudan. So now, in this very particular junction, we look at America might say that my interest is nuclear, which is the existence, because also Israel sees that as a Jewish nation, it's threatened by the Arab countries or by the Arab in the Middle East, because they right now are calling it as the most hated state in the region, in the Middle East. It's because of its expansion in different countries. But I can also say that
we seem to be having issues with.
We are also fearing.
Okay. We seem to be having issues, but
okay.
If I heard him correctly, he seems to suggest the issue of expansion. Maybe Edgar and Shakur, you can both maybe weigh into it. What Shakur argues, the point he's trying to put across, he says the issue of expansion. Israel, of course, there's what they call the Greater Israel. Israel always has a vision of expanding its territory. You saw that in Gaza. You've seen that in Lebanon. You've seen them encroaching on land in Syria. Now they're also talking about, encroaching. I've even had some arguments where they're talking about from east of the Euphrates River. All that land belongs to Israel. Maybe, how about you weigh in from that angle? And maybe the context of Sunni versus Shia. You have Sunnis on the Saudi area who also want dominance. Israel want to be the dominant person or the dominant country in that region. You also have Saudi Arabia that wants to be the dominant country in that region. So taking out Iran obviously kills that competition. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Paul, probably I want to take this first. Coming to Edgar's position, I I respect it very well. But once again, it's not, as you said, it's not only Iran which wants to be expanding in the region or have more influence in the region. You are right, Taj, talking about Greater Israel. That's the Zionist plan. And what I want to insist here is that the whole issue, the elephant in the room, is the question of Palestine. And we know Netanyahu doesn't want, and he's come out clearly, it's not going to see a Palestine state. And the war is on that. Nuclear is one issue, but Palestine is the other issue. And Iran is the only defender of Palestine rights compared to all Arab countries at this point. So the issue of Iran wanting to expand or Iran having influence with Hezbollah and Hamas, it all comes from the fact that Hezbollah and Hamas are fighting for the rights of a Palestinian state. And that's where we are having this issue. The issue of Iran supporting Hezbollah, supporting the Houthis, supporting the Hamas on one side is because of Palestinian state. Supporting the Houthis in Yemen is the question of Shia and Sunni, which we are not so which is another issue totally apart from that. And then you have the question of the nuclear. And when Edgar was saying that the West is not trusting Iran, I still go back to the question that it's not the West. It is totally an issue of Netanyahu, not the West. Netanyahu and Trump, who are able to accept the question of rejecting the peace, the nuclear agreement, because when you said it has indefinite time, it's 2030, but it was a step into a direction where it was going to stop Iran to produce a nuclear bomb. Because what was happening, there was going to be more discussions. Because one thing what we should not forget, the West has put very big sanctions on Iran. And that was part of the negotiation. And why should Israel be the one to be the police of the region and says, we don't trust this and we don't trust that, and refuse an international agreement? Because the JCPOA was an international agreement by the West. And that's where the question comes in. Who is in charge of the Middle East? Who is supposed to be able to control the Middle East? So it's a big fight and it's a wider scope. I think we should discuss on that.
Edgar, you want to take that up?
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I agree. I understand where he's coming from, and I respect his views. Yeah, I probably look at it a bit differently, but yes, I understand. I like his connection of Israel being Iran's enemy because of the Palestinian issue, and there's I can see the argument, I can see the logic in the argument. You know, many years ago in 2000, between 2007 and 2009, there was a president in Iran called Ahmadinejad. Ahmadinejad at that point
was taken out as well.
Yeah, recently, yes. So Ahmadinejad, when he was president at that point, Iran had just unveiled one of their missiles, the Shahab-3 missile. And in a press conference out there, whether it was rhetoric or whether it was bravado, Ahmadinejad said, now that we have the Shahab-3 missile, which has a range of over 2,000 kilometers, once we are able to get enough power, and he left it vaguely, we are going to wipe Israel off the map of the world. He said that verbally. That was a president who said that verbally. And I think for me, in hindsight, that is where some of these problems go in. When you have such a high-ranking member of the regime, of the government, because in Iran, you don't become president when the Ayatollahs do not agree you become president. You know, yes, granted, we have elections, but you are literally chosen. So when Ahmadinejad spoke, he sent a shockwave around the world that if you can say this, it means this is official state position of what Iran is all about. So granted, looking at Iran's development or Israel's attempt at trying to stop Iran from getting their nuclear bomb, and for those of you who've done deep research and read around it, a lot of nuclear scientists in Iran have disappeared. You know, a lot of underhand tactics have been put into place in trying to stop the Iranian regime from coming up with a bomb, all right? A lot of effort has gone into that. And you can realize as now things were escalating, and granted, with now spies and Iranian, should I call them Iranian opposition and or Iranian dissidents giving out information on what is really happening within the regime, we reached a point whereby a picture was painted to the world that Iran is on the threshold of getting the nuclear bomb. What proof do me and you have seated in this show? We may never have any concrete proof, but the countries that are claiming we have the proof, Israel and the US saying we have the proof, and acting on it, all right, negotiations being done, and Iran saying we're willing to give up all this. For me, I still insist, and I still advise the Iranians, it is very easy, in my view, to put an end or to de-escalate this conflict. Open your doors. Violate your internals, violate your sovereignty, open the doors. And I know outside people, there are people are making comments to the extent, who are we, or who is Israel, who is the US, to dictate to other countries how they should live? There are global norms. There is the Nuclear Proliferation Treaty, the NPT. Let Iran recommit itself to this treaty. Let it open its doors. Let it show the rest of the world, this is where we are, and this is what we are willing to give up, or these are the guarantees we are willing to give the world. And I have a feeling that is a step in the right direction of having good faith. The bigger conflict, yes.
Israel has nuclear weapons. It has never admitted that it has nuclear weapons, and it has never even allowed nuclear inspectors into the country.
Yes, correct. I hear you loud and clear. They got their nuclear weapons way back in the 80s, 1986. They have the Dimona nuclear facility. There was a gentleman called Vanunu who came out, even took pictures and went and showed the rest of the world. That's when the world knew that Israel was a nuclear power. But the issue is it the possession of nuclear weapons that is the danger, or is it how your regime or how your country behaves that becomes the danger? And I think here we are now getting caught up. It is a clash of civilization. It is a culture. It is an ideological fight. Remember the Israel-Palestinian issue that we keep on coming back to. We can trace it back. It's a millennial conflict. In peace and conflict studies, we call it's an intractable conflict. We cannot solve it day and night. I can assure you today, even if the state of Palestine was created, even if Israel agreed and the state of Palestine was created, and they got the state of Palestine with full rights and privileges admitted into the United Nations, that will not end the Israel-Palestinian conflict. This goes deeper than just land. It is ideological. It is literally, you could almost say it is in their blood, because these are, it is birthright. It is about who is supposed to be here. And once we get into those contested areas, we will never get right or wrong. Everybody will be right in their own sense, and we will never get an end to the debate. So for me, I believe, coming to the context of what we were talking about, yes, Iran supports the Palestinian cause, and of course that has angered Israel. Hamas and Hezbollah have not helped. Okay, so Israel sees Hamas and Hezbollah as an existential threat to their security, and if it knows if we cut off Iran, we are going to deal with Hamas and Hezbollah, so be it. So they continue fighting along those lines. For me, de-escalation, if we are trying to now talk about de-escalation, for me, I think it is Iran stepping out and giving these guarantees, opening it up its doors, letting people come and actually see we do not have any intention of creating nuclear weapons, and there are nuclear scientists neutral nuclear scientists from all over the world who will verify that. Then at that point, if Iran and the US still continue, then we will know there's a different agenda here. I have heard other people out there talk about the oil in Iran, that this is another quest for controlling Iranian oil. For me, that is neither here nor there, because we can always find out. Time will tell whether that was the end goal. So for me, nuclear weapons, for me, is the trigger to this conflict. Iran's pursuit of Iran's nuclear ambition, for me, is the trigger for this conflict. And for me, it is going to be also what is going to take to bring about peace in this conflict. If Iran will prove to the rest of the world that we do not have any such intentions, then all this pressure will be piled on Israel and the US. Leave Iran alone. They have proven to us they are not after weapons of mass destruction. Then at that point, Israel and the US will not have any say in trying to effect regime change, because it's the Iranians who decide for themselves the government they want to lead them. It is for them to decide the leaders they want to elect into power. So for me, I'll leave it at the nuclear weapons. That is where my argument stops.
Very briefly, we almost are out of time, but I want you all to weigh in on the issue of the Strait of Hormuz. Global shipments, whether it's oil and other goods and products, are stalled, are stuck on the Straits of Hormuz. Let me get your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, as I close out on the Strait of Hormuz, definitely 20% of the global oil passes through there. So it is a very definite, it's a very geostrategic location. Geopolitically, it is one of those locations that everybody is worried what happens there. The US is now in a catch-22, is now in a very difficult position because it cannot be able to defend the Strait of Hormuz effectively. And the Strait of Hormuz is very close to Iran. I mean, the Iranians, if they decide to really create havoc for the world, it is very possible to do it. So here is my suggestion, and here is how I look at it. Iran is losing as much as it is hurting other countries because it also cannot make its exports, its oil exports are also getting, derailed. So Iran deciding, and I've listened to some of their threats about what they can do to the Straits of Hormuz. If Iran decides to close the Straits of Hormuz militarily or whichever way, it is also going to suffer. Remember, its economy is already under very heavy sanctions. So the 1.5 million barrels of oil from Iran that pass through the Straits of Hormuz, if it damages the Straits of Hormuz, as it is hurting the rest of the world, it will be crippling its own regime. So for me, I think this conflict should actually be moved from the Strait of Hormuz. I know that is easier said than done. And the US is sending in more aircraft carriers and more military. Its navy is moving towards trying to secure the Straits of Hormuz, which for me looks like escalation. So the world is going to suffer. If we continue like this in the next 1 month, a barrel of oil will be $150. So Paul, it will not be the $65 you paid. You'll probably pay $100 to fill up your tank. And when it gets there, you can imagine what is going to be happening in Africa and the rest of the world. So we all want a de-escalation of this conflict because of what is happening to the global price on oil. Thank you.
You guys want to weigh in as well?
Okay. Shakur, I thought you want to say. For me, I think it's true. The question of Hormuz is very important in all this, and that's why Trump is suggesting more military around there. But one thing is that Iran is controlling there, and as far as information is coming, yes, it is suffering, but it's allowing its ships to go through. So we will see how it go on. But I agree, de-escalation is the only way to come out of this. But at the end, I wanted to conclude is that this war, although it is the nuclear issue, but it was on a false base, and it was declared by many countries that it was an illegal war against Iran, started by Israel and the United States. And without a peace agreement, without stopping this, yes, we are going to see life and inflation going very, very high.
Shakur, very briefly. Okay. You want to weigh in very briefly, Shakur?
Yes. I think my colleagues have spoken quite enough about it. But since I see that there is some movement of trying to find some alternative, or at least in which countries like Saudi Arabia, who are on the Red Sea, they can use the Bab al-Mandab or Suez Channel or Suez Canal in order to try to find a way out. But in fact, the Strait of Hormuz is actually affecting the Middle East oil when it comes to taking it outside. And before, Middle East and North Africa could be affected. I think the Europe and America, especially Europe, is actually said Iran will lock itself, with having no chance to take its oil, to take its gas out, that will be a problem. Um, Locally in the region, just few days ago, one of the official Qatari government said that Qatar will need at least 1 month to operate normally in terms of gas production and oil production as well. And today, Iran has threatened again it is going to actually Khema facilities. So that is actually bringing the Hormuz, the Strait of Hormuz into the subject, and it is the main conflict right now. Iran sees that Strait of Hormuz is a very big power for them to use it in order to mobilize, mobilize the world, people who are affected by that. Because if I am in North Africa and I see that I will be affected in terms of oil, the oil will go. I will mobilize that the Strait of Hormuz to be open and otherwise. So hopefully, we hope that this war is so that we can see. And the Arab countries right now, they are in public holiday for Ramadan. After 1 week, life should continue normally. And by the escalation I see, maybe there will be, the holiday will not be very happy when people are coming back to their businesses.
Edgar, you have the last word. Is there any real opening for diplomacy right now, since you are the diplomatic expert here? Or has this conflict closed that door entirely?
No, I think you never really close. You'll always hope. As diplomatic experts, we always have hope. We always are praying that we give dialogue a chance. And sometimes in dialogue, in negotiation, when you're doing negotiation, you need to negotiate in good faith. That is usually the basis of it. You need to have trust. So the big question here to ask is, are the Americans, Israelis, and Iranians willing to sit on one table and put all their cards on the table and negotiate in good faith? That would be the big question, because it's very easy for the dialogue that Bahrain and Oman that had been started, had progressed very well, if at all it had been allowed, given a chance, and in good faith, for the fruits to be realized. So for me, I think let's give diplomacy a chance. I don't want to be the prophet of doom to say that there is no hope, that we're not going to end this conflict. In Africa, we have a saying that there is no rain that rains and it never ceases. All types of rain sooner or later come to an end. All right, there's that African saying, and on that, we now want to export to the rest of the world that even this conflict will come to an end. We're just hoping it will come to an end sooner than later, because of what we've discussed with my colleagues here, the oil prices, the cost of living, just the damage to infrastructure, just the humanitarian suffering that is occurring out of this war. So, I mean, human beings in the 21st century, we should resort to better means of solving our problems other than resorting to war. That is where we hoped we would have reached by now. So I still believe the diplomacy can be given a chance, and that people will negotiate without making unnecessary demands and negotiate in good faith. Thank you.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you guys don't mind, stick around for a minute until I'm able to uplink this stuff. So if you don't mind, stick around for a minute. Okay? Thank you, Edgar Gitua. Thank you, Shekua Nyeketo. Thank you, Abdul Shakur Abud. It's been a pleasure talking to you all. If you value this kind of conversation that goes beyond headlines, make sure you follow us at Different Perspectives across all media platforms. We are on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Spotify, and Substack. Just search for me, Paul Ndiho, or Different Perspectives. Again, if you believe in independent journalism, scan the QR code or use the link in the descriptions below to support our work. Your donation You can donate with your Visa, your MasterCard, your PayPal, Cash App, or Zelle. Your support goes a long way to allow us to bring you this kind of content to stream live. And obviously, we cannot do it without your help. Thank you again. It's been a great conversation. For now, so long from Washington. Thank you.